Hi, I'm Davina Shamaya, and just like you, I'm recovering from complex post-traumatic stress disorder and narcissistic abuse. And today I would like to talk to you about codependency. And yeah, it's yeah, just sort of a humbling reality to me how codependent I can still be after I feel like I've done so much recovery work, and yet it is a really deeply ingrained, deeply conditioned pattern of behavior. And it comes from, being in that narcissistic family, having narcissistic parents who don't want to or aren't capable of meeting your needs, and therefore are not even really going to try. And so, you know, as a child, then we end up caretaking our parents, protecting them, protecting their feelings, making sure they don't feel bad. It's like sort of I've heard like the term babysitting their shame. So, well, we don't want to make them feel bad, so we won't, make a fuss or speak up or protest or get angry. And so, after a certain amount of abuse, we just start to it's just like Stockholm syndrome. If you imagine that your parents kidnapped you from birth, and the only way that you could survive that was to be like, you know, just taking care of them and like trying to please them and fawning, and that's the fourth F, is the fawning, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And you might be a combination of those as well. And so like the fawning, the codependence is just a survival mechanism. And it, once we're programmed with that as a child, it just becomes so much of a underlying part of our whole lives, or at least for my life. I realized just when I woke up this morning that I can, like, even I feel like I'm so aware, but then I'm so humbled by, I go, oh my God, like I was in this situation. Here I am, like in this kind of pleasing role again, in this like really, I want someone to like me, or, I'm lying to myself. I realize how much I've been lying to myself, especially in this job hunting that I'm going through. I'll start just lying to people too, because I'm lying to myself. They're like, well, can you work 9 hours a day? And I'm like, sure, okay. And that's how I got into the crappy situation that I was in the last couple of months, was because, I didn't even think through it. They were like, I'd already felt like I'd committed to these people, and suddenly they were adding another child to the job. And I just went, okay, like, okay, whatever you want. There's so much, me just wants to go along, there's that go along to get along. Just, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll bend, I'll twist, I'll, you know, distort who I am in order to try and get you to like me. And I notice that too when I'm talking to people in these interviews and conversations, that I'm like trying to think, okay, what do they need and what do they want? And what's the right answer here so that I can be accepted? I think they're wanting this. And so, I think they're wanting someone who's, open to, babysitting on the weekends. So then I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I might be able to do that. And I just like, oh, it's so humbling and so discouraging at the same time, because it's like, yeah, I think I just honestly just, this is where I just like pray to God. Like I just get on my knees and pray to God and say, God, help me, because I am powerless over this. I grew up, I was raised by a narcissist. So I was raised by crazy people, and my mind was programmed with crazy shit, crazy shit. And so, I've, been untangling a lot of that, but there's still so much work to do. And, in order for me to like, hopefully get into a job where, my needs are important, my needs are being met. And I really believe that, yeah, it's like really flipping that and going, like, okay, laying it out for them and saying, okay, no, these are the things I need in the job. Are you able to provide that? No. Okay, well, I'll go on and look for somebody else then that will. Yeah, because it really, like, I felt so much shame in my last job, so much shame. I just felt like I wasn't enough, and I wasn't, wasn't anything enough. Just it was a horrible experience. I definitely have learned from that, I hope, at least a little bit. Um, but yeah, and be so gentle with yourself. Like, I think sometimes, I think in the beginning, like, I was kind of ashamed of being codependent. But I think, the more I've grieved and stuff, like the less shame I feel around, when I come out of denial, it's like, I realized that, yeah, I was abused and my parents did neglect me. And that's why I'm codependent. I'm not codependent because I'm a pathetic person. I'm codependent because my parents did not provide me with many of my needs. So yeah, what else can I say about codependency? It's a hard thing to overcome, and maybe lifelong, really. I mean, I hope that, a decade from now, I've overcome much more of it, maybe 80% or 90%. But yeah, it's tough. And I think it's constant, daily, got to check in with myself. And am I being honest with myself? That's a huge thing about, I think, codependency is to recover, is getting really, really honest about what you're feeling, what you're needing, and doing this on a regular basis. Cause I know, like, I can just slide, like I can spend, if I'm not on it, like days or weeks can go by, and then suddenly I'm realizing, oh my God, I'm totally in this people pleasing role all over again. And oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely recommend just, taking an inventory from your day and noticing those moments and noticing them with compassion. Like, oh, this was a moment where I put aside my needs in order to, make someone else happy, so. And sometimes we have to totally, I think, swing the pendulum to the other side. And so, from constant people pleasing to just like really like making your needs absolutely the most important thing. I've got written on my wall, like, love yourself first, because you really cannot love anyone else if you're not loving yourself. That's another thing that became very clear to me in my job. Like, I was not loving those children because I was not caring for and loving myself. So how could I possibly be giving anything? I was depleted. And so I realized, yeah, and that comes a lot with just, boundary setting, knowing your boundaries. And that comes from knowing your feelings, knowing your needs. And then you set boundaries, and you make those boundaries, firm, a little bit of flexibility, but, basically firm boundaries in place, so that you know what you need to take care of yourself. And then you can have compassion for others. And I think that's what most highly sensitive people want, is these deep, relationships and intimacy and compassion. But we cannot have that without those boundaries in place. Without boundaries, we are just codependents. We are just, enmeshed with people, and it's not really love. It's not really care, because we're not caring for ourselves first. So, yeah, if you can just do one small thing today to love yourself first, just try that. And yeah, try taking, like a kind of a daily inventory, and see where you were in the day. Where were you meeting your own needs, and where were you maybe, going over into the people pleasing. So that is what I had to share with you today. And I'm wishing you so many blessings on this journey of healing and awakening. And I am Davina Shamaya at Boldness Blooming. Thanks for watching.